So if you guys, I think I introduced myself to almost everybody, but my name's Taylor. I own a company called Body Temple System, where we do weight loss and body transformation all in the online space. Okay, so we're doing coaching with clients, primarily with women, and we're just very results driven. So we guarantee everyone 1 to 2 pounds of fat loss. It's all about seeing results. That's what motivates people. That's what continues a habit to be consistent. And we're very big on the 3 pillars of nutrition, training, and mental breakthrough, because at the end of the day, we can Google almost anything that you need to know, right? Like how to work out, how to eat right. So the information's there. What's lacking is actual implementation and consistency. And so we provide that accountability and that support, and even some of those inner workings to help people kind of burst through some of the self-sabotage, the negative self-talk that really keeps people from moving forward. So that's what we do, and what I wanted to chat about with you guys is 3 ways to increase your energy, and really just simple things that you guys can do. I'm not even talking about total lifestyle makeover, literally things you guys can start to do tomorrow. And in 5 days, you guys will see a considerable increase in your daily energy if you implement the 3 things.
Good, we need that.
Because
I know about you guys, but
and I don't want to make any assumptions, but I'm guessing with what you guys do for your job, having more energy is good, right?
Absolutely.
Would everyone like nod their head or hand up that having more energy is going to help you be better at your job?
Absolutely. Heck yeah.
Okay. What about having more focus or mental clarity? Like, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I have ADD and I forget what I was doing. And then you try and do a million things, and all of a sudden you're spread out thin and you didn't do any of them well, and you didn't do anything the whole day somehow.
I drove 10 blocks past where I was supposed to go.
Yeah. So this isn't just going to give you more energy, but this is also going to give you a lot of focus and mental clarity as well. Okay. And the first thing I wanted to talk about is how to improve your sleep. So who here does not necessarily have the best sleep? And you can just raise your hand. Okay. And just out of curiosity, because there's different types of insomnia or sleep disorders, who it takes forever to fall asleep? Okay, great. No, that's good. So you guys hit the pillow, you're out.
Yeah.
Great. But who is constantly waking up throughout the night, tossing and turning? You never really, and then when you wake up, you really felt like you didn't even sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot of research that's going to back up the stuff that I'm going to say. I'm not just pulling this out of my butt. And we do implement this. We do implement this with every client that we work with, and it does work. The first thing with improving your sleep, guys, is turning off Wi-Fi. Okay. Because who here uses their phone as an alarm clock?
Nope.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Always.
Who keeps their phone like at least right next to their bed when they sleep?
Nope.
Yes? Okay. There's a lot of studies that were done in France. And a more extreme case to kind of help paint the picture is a kid who was like 11 or 12 years old, developed Alzheimer's. And they linked it to his phone. He was sleeping with his phone underneath his pillow.
Oh my God.
So what they started doing studies, and basically Wi-Fi does disrupt our REM and our circadian rhythm when we're asleep. And so literally we'll have people implement this, and I'll be more specific, but turning off Wi-Fi on devices, people's sleep is like through the roof. You sleep like a baby, okay? So the way to do this is you turn all your devices to airplane mode, and then those devices have to be a minimum of 15 feet from your bed, from where you sleep, okay? If you guys start doing that, after 5 days, you're gonna feel like your sleep is amazing, okay? It's a very simple change.
So what about I already
If we just
do
take
that?
out, just unplug the Wi-Fi, unplug all the internet all night.
So you don't, that would be great if you don't mind doing that, and like disconnecting your modem. Is that what you're talking about? But as long as your modem's far away from your bed, it shouldn't make too big of a difference. More so, it's the Wi-Fi that the devices are emitting. So if you just flip the device to airplane, so that's not emitting that anymore. And then the device is far enough away from your head where you sleep. It's going to improve your sleep a lot.
Does the alarm clock still work?
And the alarm clock still works when it's on airplane.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
We're gonna wake up.
So if you turn it off though, then it's fine. It's just if you leave it on and it's in.
Yeah, if you
Right.
turn it all the
But
way
if you
off.
power it off totally, you're okay.
Or you can power it off completely,
Okay.
yeah, and use an alarm clock,
Right.
and not your phone as an alarm. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Everyone got that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing, and this might be a bit of a habit change for some of you, or maybe all of you, but there's something called carb backloading. Has anyone heard that term before? Okay. Basically what it means is saving your carbohydrates for the end of your day,
Huh.
right? So we always hear, well, you don't want to have carbs at nighttime because then you're not going to burn them, right?
Yeah.
Because you're gonna put it on as fat. So here's what's interesting about carbohydrates. Carbs carry, I think I'm spelling this right,
Oh
tryptophan.
yeah, the turkey circle.
Everyone's heard that, right?
The turkey
Tryptophan,
circle.
tryptophan is in really high levels in carbohydrate-dense foods, okay? Tryptophan is a precursor to serotonin. Does anyone know what serotonin is?
Yeah.
Right? It's the neurotransmitter that helps relax us, calm us, and it goes up when we go to sleep. Okay, so serotonin facilitates deep REM and good sleep. We got that? So it makes sense if we're increasing tryptophan levels in the blood, that's going to signal more serotonin concentration in the brain. Okay? And this is actually why I'm going to get to another thing called the meat and nuts breakfast. So we'll come back to this. But in terms of getting better sleep, it's actually better to save your carbs for the end of your day. Which, hey, who doesn't want to have pasta at dinner time, right? You just got to make sure you're managing your carbohydrates and not having them at the beginning of the day, right? And I'll talk about that with the meat and nuts breakfast, which is going to be our second point. But this
So
is
Tim,
how
when you're saying the end of the day, you mean like so for like your evening meal,
your last meal.
your last meal.
Your last meal.
Like how much before you go to bed are you having these carbs?
Doesn't matter. If you have dinner at 7 and you go to bed at 10, great.
What if you have dinner at 7, go to bed at 8? Is that
Great.
still okay?
Still great. Yep. The
You have
whole
dinner
point.
at 5 and then you have a snack before you get into.
So have more carbs at your snack.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
But as long as you're not having those carbs before like 2 or 3, right? So the whole first chunk of your day, there's no carbohydrates. You're backloading it to the end of the day. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So are you talking fruits and veggies too, and when you say carbohydrate?
No. I'm talking about carb-dense, carb-dense carbohydrates, which would be grains, pasta, but also potato, any type of potato, any type of rice, tapioca. Those are all carb-dense. Okay, residual carbs from vegetables are even carrots technically are a higher starch content vegetable. So even that would technically I would classify as a more starchy carb. But things that are like greens, mushrooms, most of the stuff on this side minus the nuts, right?
More fiber.
Yeah, things that are fibrous. Does that make sense, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great. And then the other thing is, who here knows magnesium? They've heard about magnesium? Awesome. Does anyone know how many enzymatic reactions your body needs magnesium for?
Most.
A lot.
Over 300.
Magnesium?
Yeah. So most people in the United States are deficient in magnesium. Okay, so this has been validated through research over thousands of people, right? And the reason is because, well, what the crap? We should be getting enough magnesium if we're eating vegetables and fruits and all this kind of stuff, right? But because of the agricultural revolution in the United States, our soil quality sucks, basically. So the magnesium that should be present at the levels it should be in those dark leafy greens and things like that are not. Okay, and even organic, unfortunately, guys, it doesn't really have anything to do with the soil quality. Okay, it's after that. So basically, and this is why 90% of the United States is deficient in magnesium. But again, magnesium is really important for sleep and getting into deep sleep. So if you guys have 400 to 800 milligrams of magnesium before bed as well, you'll sleep like a baby earthquakes will happen and you won't wake up.
How are we gonna get that? What are we gonna
Yeah, when we buy it, it's probably.
Yeah, so
We get a
again, you
supplement.
can't eat anything
Yeah.
for this because, like we just kind of talked about,
Yeah.
foods are deficient in it. So you would have to supplement, and literally, you would just get a magnesium supplement, and it's the best form in terms of bioavailability. What your body's going to absorb is chelated form. Okay, so when you guys are looking at the supermarket or the nutrition shop or wherever you guys go for supplements, look for the chelated form of magnesium.
We got ours at Sprouts.
Gotta get the calm stuff, the powder.
No, I just bought, it's just a bottle of, and it tells you the milligrams in each one, so.
Cool.
But we do get the children.
So does this make sense, guys? Obviously, if you have better sleep, you're gonna wake up feeling with much
Yeah,
more
right.
energy and refreshment, right? Okay, so we're gonna move on to the second thing, which is like I promised.
While you're doing that, is there a formula for the amount of sleep that you should have?
There really isn't, which is kind of interesting. We always hear like 8 hours, right? But that's not true. Some people, because it's all based off percentage of REM during your sleep cycle and whole, and really sleep quality is dependent on how much of that sleep percentage was in deep REM. So some people accomplish that in 6 hours, right? We hate them because they can sleep less, right, and still feel awesome. I'm one of those people. Like I can sleep 6 to 6.5 hours and I feel great. If I sleep 8, I feel really lethargic and lazy. So it's not necessarily 8. There's no formula. It's really test and retest. Like wake yourself up at 6.5, and if you do that for 5 days and you feel awesome every time, then 6.5 is probably the right amount for you.
After I had a baby, if I could get 6, I was like, yeah.
Yeah. In terms of just one sleeping chunk, because there's not just one way to sleep. Like a lot of people are tampering with other types of sleep patterns, where like you do like a 20-minute siesta 8 different times throughout the day. You can actually only sleep 4 hours a day and have the same percentage of REM.
Wow.
Tim Ferriss talks about that in his like biohacking book. So I wouldn't recommend that.
Yeah.
But
I like my
wait,
bed.
she's on her.
I like my bed too much.
does that make sense, though, Mike? So there's
Yeah.
no formula for how many hours.
Got it.
It's really case by case.
Okay.
The second thing I wanted to chat about was a meat and nuts breakfast. Now, who thinks they would want to have meat and nuts for breakfast?
What kind of meat?
All right, I like that. Usually not that many people raise their hand for that. Yeah, bacon. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So why would you want to have meat and nuts and not oatmeal and fruit in a fruit smoothie,
Protein.
right?
The protein is, but the fat too, because
Yep.
the fat is denser in calories and it takes longer to burn, so it lasts longer.
True. Yep. So let's talk about those two things, right? So by eliminating carbs, this is going to sound counterintuitive because people kind of mess it up when they're talking about it. But does carb raise your resting blood sugar or lower it?
Raise.
Lowers it.
I thought it was lower, yeah.
Because there's sugars coming in, it lowers your resting blood sugars.
Okay.
Okay, protein raises your blood sugars. So in terms of blood sugar regulation, which helps optimize energy and clarity and just consistency of energy throughout the day, right? Managing your blood sugar is more efficient when you have constant protein source. So the protein's accomplishing that much better than like an oatmeal biscuit type breakfast, okay? So again, everything in science, guys, is on the 70% rule, which means even if a million studies show that it was true, it's only 70% true 70% of the time. Okay? There's always a 15% outlier on either end. So some people can do well with a carb breakfast. The way to know is you'll have to be pretty meticulous and rate your energy on a 10-point scale and do a carb-dense breakfast 5 days in a row. And 2 hours later, rate what your energy is on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay? If it's a 10, 5 days in a row, you're probably one of the few who can do carbs. But most people are going to have much more energy if you do a protein-dense food as your first meal in the morning. Is this making sense?
Eggs are included in
So
Eggs
what-
are included.
So what kind of meat
I
are
would-
you saying?
The interesting thing, I want to come back to what you're asking real quick, because she was asking, does eggs fall in that? Like, yes, eggs are protein, but in terms of raising blood sugars and maintaining them, meat does that for a longer period of time than eggs does. So both do it, it's just meat is a longer...
Give us samples, I can't even think what kind of breakfast.
Literally, like,
So it's a steak and no
a
eggs.
steak and macadamia nuts.
Yeah.
Or Polish sausage
Oh.
and a handful of almonds.
Or like a hamburger. But like when my son was playing football, he was eating hamburger patties for breakfast.
Yeah, you could do that. As long as it's like a higher quality
That's
type
all it is,
hamburger.
even just a hamburger patty. And with
I'm not even
tomato.
talking leanness, I'm just talking the source of the cow that it's coming from. So like, I mean, it's more expensive, but when you guys get grass-fed, beef-based products, it's just going to be much healthier.
What about salmon and nuts?
100% too, yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
I could do
And
that.
actually, guys, I would recommend rotating that meat source because people do develop food allergies from eating the same food too often. So actually, and especially with meat, right? So a lot of people are like, oh, you gotta eat healthy, that means I gotta eat chicken all the time, right? But chicken is actually the most acidic meat of all the meats. And that's why a lot of people have stomach issues or digestive issues, and then they start getting sick, and then they fall off the bandwagon because they're trying to eat chicken every day. Okay, so it's actually good to rotate your meats. Does that make sense? So that's the reason for the protein. So what about the fats, like with the nuts or the fats found in the meat source? Why would we want that?
Because it tastes good.
It does taste good. It does taste good.
But they also have a more complex carbohydrate in them as well, it's not just fat. And it's got fiber as well.
It depends on the source. Because again, there's no absolutes in nature, right? There's always carbs, protein, and fat present in every food. We're just talking about some foods have a much higher percentage of fat compared to the carb and protein. So you're
And
right.
they're plant-based fats.
Mm-hmm.
Avocados, nuts.
This is why. The micronutrient choline. Okay, fats carry what's called choline. Remember we were talking about neurotransmitters and how that affects our brain chemistry with clarity and focus. Acetylcholine is the neurotransmitter that makes you feel focused and attentive and picking up the phone and shaking hands and closing deals and like, so acetylcholine is one of those upper neurotransmitters that our brain has, okay? And choline is the precursor to acetylcholine. So again, that's why the meat and nuts breakfast is so powerful, is because you're having these fats and you're having these proteins to regulate your blood sugars and to give that acetylcholine surge so that you're focused and productive all day.
So then if you have that for breakfast, or maybe you're gonna get to this, then do you like have a snack 2 hours later, or do you
Yeah,
like
you can have
eat
snack.
lunch?
Yeah, we're not gonna get into, I wasn't gonna get into the details of everything today because that'd be impossible, but yeah, 100%. I'm just talking
And
about,
stay within not eating as many carbs, like, right?
yeah, just stay away from
So don't
carbs.
be having the bagel at 10.
Yeah, don't be having dinner at 10 after
I would say just stay away from dense carbs until 2 or 3 p.m.
Okay.
And then you can start having your carbohydrate dense foods, especially with your last meal of the day.
So is there a way to be tested to see where you fall in as far as what your makeup is
That's a great question.
genetically or whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it?
If you have $2,000 to pay for a blood panel, you could do that. Or there's this test that we have our clients take. You guys can write this down. It's a free test online.
Oh,
It's called the Braverman Test.
can you write that down first?
Yes.
Are you serious? Write yourself a note.
No,
on
no,
your
she's
phone.
gonna do it for me.
You'll see you guys will see two different tests pop up. One of them is just the deficiency test, which will tell you which of your 4 neurotransmitters you're deficient in. Okay, so the 4, I only mentioned 2 today, but the 4 are dopamine, acetylcholine, which I just mentioned, GABA, and then serotonin, which I mentioned earlier. Okay, those are the 4 main neurotransmitters. Okay. The upper 2 are like the aggressive, high, upper focus ones. The lower 2 are like the calm, cool, collected, let's go to sleep ones. Okay? So you can take this test and it's a true-false questionnaire. So instead of paying $2,000 for a blood panel to figure this out, this guy, Dr. Eric Braverman, came up with a test that's 98% as accurate as the blood panel.
Wow.
There's some weird questions on there, so just be completely honest. And then you can only take it one time, okay?
Oh, okay.
Because it'll skew results if you take it a second time because you've already known the answers and now you're thinking about it differently. So take it one time, it'll tell you which of these you're dominant in, okay? And actually, this is a whole nother conversation, but based on which one you're dominant in will dictate how you should train to lose the most body fat and to build the most
And also
muscle.
how you should eat?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about that meat and nut thing. I mean, I'm not there.
What don't you know?
I don't like that. I mean, I can't imagine eating that in the morning.
Then don't.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean,
turn into a big fat person.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying, I would say this, if you already have plenty of energy throughout the day and it would make no difference to you and you're healthy with you're happy with your body composition, you don't want to make any change, you should change nothing.
No, I'm not happy in any of that area.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm glad you're telling me. But
Right.
I'm just dealing with that meat and...
You're probably one of the 15% on the low end.
Maybe.
Do you like steak?
Yes.
Would you like to have steak in your first
Yeah,
meal?
but I'm thinking, how do I prep that? I mean, do I prep it the night before?
Yeah,
don't have
I mean,
time to eat that.
we cook in bulk 2 nights a week. So
Oh.
on Sunday, we'll cook enough meat and veg and starchy carbohydrate for 3 days, and we'll do it again on Wednesday. So literally when it's breakfast time, I wake up and I pull out 2 sausages and a steak or a pork or whatever the rotation I'm on, and I'll just pop it in the microwave and chow down.
I have a question. What about cholesterol? Because we're old, so like
Yeah.
maybe you don't have to worry about cholesterol, but we do.
Yeah, everyone has to worry about cholesterol. Yeah. So this is a whole other conversation we get into. But cholesterol, interestingly, you actually form cholesterol more so from processed grain. So people eat a lot of gluten actually have higher cholesterol because of the grain products, not because of fats. But yes, if your polyunsaturated fat intake or your trans fat intake is too high, your body's going to form cholesterol as well to help combat that, right? Because our body forms the cholesterol itself to help move things, right? Because we're trying to pump blood. And so, but then when it's there for too long and it forms chronically, that's when it gets all clumped and it doesn't move anymore. And now all of a sudden, people are, it's leading to other things, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I can't jump into it right now because we
I
don't
did the
have time.
Atkins diet when I was like 17
Okay.
and lost weight, and then
Do you still do it?
no.
Why not?
Well, I got all messed up. Like I stopped my menstrual cycle for like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? You have all the girls in your family.
Get over it.
So good with it.
This is why when we only work with women, right?
You're gonna be okay.
So I know more about the period than most guys want to know,
Yeah.
right? But because I need to, and this is a big reason why we don't do any one low carb ever.
Okay.
Carbs are very necessary even for someone who's trying to lose body fat. It's just about some different timing tricks, the source of those carbs. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. But no, this stuff is not going to mess you up with increasing cholesterol because if they're healthy fats, like most nuts are going to be monounsaturated dense.
Yeah.
So monounsaturated is one of the ones that does not oxidize in our body very quickly. So that would be a good type of fat.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Are we all good besides Mike on the meat and nuts? Yeah?
I'm good.
Cool.
You know, I bet if I showed up over there and brought a nice filet mignon for breakfast and threw it on the grill, you know he'd eat it.
And then here's another one that you guys can literally just start doing tomorrow morning. All this stuff you guys can start doing today and tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Lime juice and salt water.
Now, I love lime juice. I don't like lemonade at all, but I love limeade.
Yeah.
Salt water.
Do you guys know what cortisol is?
Yes, it's the stress hormone that causes you to build fat around your midsection.
Boom.
That's what I want to get rid of. The Dunlop disease.
So
Want to see it?
cortisol is our stress hormone. It's actually a good thing. Cortisol is a good thing to have You actually, in terms of building muscle, you want to have as much cortisol in your system as possible while you're training.
I would win.
Yeah, but then when you're done training, you have to transition and get cortisol out. And this is a whole other topic of why we don't have women do cardio, because it causes a chronic cortisol state, which is that's going to accumulate fat. So we only have women do 15 to 25 minute sprint interval type training and weight training. That's it.
Thank God.
Right? So
Wow.
zero cardio. And this is
What's the sprint training called?
it's called SHIIT. SHIIT,
Yeah.
super high intensity interval training.
You had to bring
Remember I was teaching people how to spell shit when I was in elementary school, Mom?
I know, I'm first
I got in
grade.
big trouble.
Principal took you out.
And now I still spell it wrong. I added an
Did you
I.
say mom?
Yeah, that's my mom.
Yeah, that's my oldest boy.
Yeah.
She doesn't get away with anything.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Okay.
That's awesome.
So back to cortisol though and how it's relating to your guys' energy. There's something called the circadian rhythm. Has anyone heard that? Right?
Rhythm?
Yeah. So it's think of a bell curve, and our hormones are supposed to do a certain curve as we rise from waking up, and then when we go to bed. Right? There's supposed to be this rhythm, and part of that rhythm is cortisol. Cortisol should be at its lowest. So if we're talking about cortisol, it should be at its low point before you go to bed, and it's going to be high when you wake up. Okay, people who have chronic cortisol though, and they have bad energy and things like this, they have adrenal fatigue, right? So you guys have heard of adrenal fatigue, right? So to nurture the adrenals, right, which are these little glands by the kidneys here that help regulate cortisol. Who knows what helps nurture the adrenal glands? Nobody.
Sex.
Oh, is it? Oh, wow.
Let's talk about sex, baby.
Oh my gosh,
He's not even
Mom,
shy
plug your
about
ears.
it. Can't hear the sex.
Sodium helps nurture and bring health back to the adrenals. Okay, so we hear a lot of times that sodium's bad. You should stay away from sodium, and kind of a different topic. But you guys remember learning about the potassium-sodium pump?
Yep.
Right? Because like sodium's acting on the cell on the outside as potassium's acting on the cell on the inside. When there's balance between those two nutrients, you're good. It's just most people don't get enough potassium, and that's why people are like, cut sodium out, you need to cut sodium out, right? But sodium's good when you're getting it from the right source. So in terms of the salt source that you guys use with this drink, and we're just talking about half a tablespoon.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, sorry.
Teaspoon or teaspoon?
I'm sorry, teaspoon. Yep. So a really small amount. Yep.
And
Or no, this is teaspoon. I meant tablespoon.
You do
TBL.
Really?
bigger one?
It's a TBL.
TBL.
Or a big T.
Like that.
Or a
I need to watch more cooking shows.
Yeah.
So half a tablespoon. And you guys want to have colored salt.
Okay.
Okay.
Like the Himalayan.
Not
salt.
white, thank you. Yes.
Perfect.
Or Celtic
That's what
sea
we
salt.
use.
That's actually one of the better ones in the U.S. It's gray. It's not white. It's gray. If you guys do salt, so that's going to be the sodium to help with the adrenals. Okay. And then the lime juice. Do you guys know if lime is alkaline or acidic?
Alkaline.
Yes.
Alkaline ash, right?
Yes. So it's base, right? It's alkaline. Again, coming back to that circadian rhythm with our wake and going to sleep. Our pH goes down when we go to bed, which means we get more acidic, and then we get more base when we wake up. So, but again, when their rhythm's all jacked up, they need facilitation with this, which is why the lime juice being more alkaline and having that first thing in the morning is going to help make your body more base and raise the pH.
Does apple cider vinegar work the same as the lime juice?
Yes,
We're gonna have to have him come.
but I like this better.
It is.
Like when you do so think like a shot, guys, of lime juice. That's the amount. So a shot, like 4 ounces or 3 ounces, and then half a tablespoon of the Celtic sea salt. Mix it together. That's the first liquid that you guys have when you wake up.
how much water? 8 ounces?
Yeah. Mix it in water.
Yeah, first I was thinking I'm just doing the lime juice and the salt. I'm like,
Yeah, or if you guys want to do that and chase it with some tequila.
Wow, you'll be ready
So
for
lime and salt, and then we move to the meat and the
The meat and nuts breakfast.
breakfast.
And then you guys are implementing the Wi-Fi, the carb backloading, and the magnesium
We're gonna
for
consider
sleep.
these all.
If we want to have bananas and fruit and stuff like that, should we do it midday or evening?
That's a
You
great
say
question.
After 2?
It's a great question. So, to get a little more specific with carb timing, you guys are asking a lot of good questions.
It's a smart group.
We're intrigued.
Yeah. With carb timing, when you're implementing carb backloading, 30% of your allotted carbs should be post-workout. Okay? So, meaning if you guys work out in the morning, it's fine to have those carbs in the morning if you just trained. Okay? But then the other 70%, like I said, should be 2 to 3 p.m. and beyond, the end of your day. So that's in terms of the most basic general form of carb timing.
Okay.
It gets more specific, case by case. But
And you're not get to work out every day?
no,
Okay.
no.
So the days you don't work out, that would be a little different.
Exactly.
You wouldn't have the 30% or.
Right, exactly. You would want to shoot for 0
Okay.
until after 2 to 3 p.m.
Wow.
Does coffee count as meat and then?
What's that? No.
I know, I'm thinking the same
Wait.
thing. I mean, that's one of my favorite things in the
We
morning.
really need to have you come back again.
When do we have
really
coffee?
do,
Yeah.
because I can tell there's so much more that you need to talk about, and we can't because
Oh, there's
we
a
have
million
to-
things
we have
I
to
could talk
clean-
about.
We have to clean up and then walk.
Yeah,
So,
because we have to let
and
someone else have the room.
We have to let somebody else have the room, and
Yeah.
so when can you come back?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'd like to
yeah.
have you come
I'd
back
love to come
probably.
back when you guys want to have me. I do these like kind of free lunch and learns once a month. So.
Yeah?
Well, Lisa, I talked to Lisa a little bit about it, and she mentioned that maybe it would be to present to the whole group at one of our
Office
monthly
meetings?
office meetings, monthly office
And we'll have to
meetings.
make sure that we
Yeah.
have healthy food.
Which, that's right. None of the
Right.
Bill's barbecue that we had the other day.
Exactly.
They had Boston Market one time, and that was pretty good, with the steamed vegetables and Hooley's steamed vegetables and meat.
And salad. Yeah, that's true.
Wow.
Yum.
Does this all make sense though, guys? Like, I want to make sure you understand fully because I want you to implement. My biggest pet peeve is information gatherers, right? Where you're constantly collecting info and you never do anything with it. So, like, I just want to make sure you guys understand
It just
this.
feels so cold.
But
Oh, right there.
Yeah, right?
I get it. No,
I have
guys-
to
that's
say,
good. Is there any
education
question?
without action
Yeah.
is just purely entertainment.
Yeah, 100%. So, you guys understand this? Are there any
Yeah.
questions
Yeah,
still
really good.
looming with these 3 things?
I'm gonna sleep way better.
It's funny, I have lime water every morning, but I didn't know about the salt.
Yeah,
And I drink lemon
Yeah, the
water
colored
in
salt.
every morning.
yeah.
Me
Warm,
too.
Which is great. So you're probably good with your pH.
But I don't have the salt.
Yeah. So the salt is just going to help with the adrenals.
Well, you don't put salt in anything either because your husband has
Yeah, I don't put
cardiac
salt on
problems.
anything.
And that is for the midsection.
What is for the
I
midsection?
know you said something about.
The adrenals.
The butt gus.
No,
the
no, no.
Oh, I thought the
gut
lighting salt.
What's
lighting
good for
and
the
salt
gut
water.
buster?
He was talking about cortisol.
Oh.
He
Yeah.
was talking about the
Cor-
midsection.
Cortisol does signal what some would call stubborn body fat, which is body fat that's very hard to get rid of, right? If you ever notice, if you start to lose weight, you'll lose it off in certain areas real quick, but you'll be like,
Yeah.
what is this doing here still? Or,
Yeah.
you know, wherever it is, right? Because there's actually different types of fat cells. There's alpha receptor and there's beta receptor, and there's a way to signal those 2 different ones.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
I trust you.
Good.
But I
That's
watch
great
him online
stuff.
all the time, so you guys can subscribe to his.
Yeah, and actually what I was gonna
YouTube?
say, anyone who's interested, we do health audits. They're usually $97. We spend, like, I get on the phone with you for 45 minutes. We talk about what you're doing with your nutrition, what you're doing with your workouts, what direction you want to go.
have a little-
and-
you have a
yeah, I
little
have a sign up
sheet,
for
so-
that. If you guys want to do that for free with me, sign up, give your name, email, and phone number, and we'll schedule a time to do that health audit with you.
Well, thank you. This has
Cool.
been very informative.
Wow.
Thank you.
Great job.
Very good.